Sylvia Rivera was more than an activist. She was a force of nature. As a transgender woman of Puerto Rican and Venezuelan descent, she dedicated her life to fighting for the rights of the most marginalized members of the LGBTQ+ community, particularly trans people, sex workers, and homeless youth. Her story is one of resilience, defiance, and unwavering commitment to justice. Though often sidelined by the mainstream gay rights movement, Sylvia refused to be erased, carving out a legacy that continues to inspire activists today. Born on July 2, 1951, in New York City, Sylvia's early years were marked by hardship and rejection. Her father abandoned the family before she was born, and when she was just 3 years old, her mother died by suicide. Left in the care of her maternal grandmother, Sylvia faced constant abuse and rejection due to her gender nonconformity. Her grandmother, a deeply conservative woman, disapproved of her love for makeup, feminine clothing, and self-expression. By the time she was 11, Sylvia had run away from home, seeking refuge on the streets of New York. Life was brutal. She survived through sex work and found solace in the underground queer and drag communities. The older queens took her under their wing, teaching her how to navigate a world that was determined to erase her. It was in these communities that Sylvia found her first sense of family, love, and identity. This difficult upbringing fueled her passion for advocating for homeless, queer youth. She understood their struggles firsthand and would spend her life fighting for their survival and dignity. The Stonewall uprising of 1969 is often credited as the spark that ignited the modern LGBTQ+ rights movement. While mainstream narratives tend to center white, cisgender gay men, it was trans women of color like Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. who played crucial roles in the rebellion. On the night of June 28, 1969, the Stonewall Inn, a popular gay bar in Greenwich Village, was raided by police. Raids like these were common, as LGBTQ+ spaces were frequently targeted for harassment. But this time, the patrons fought back. A spontaneous uprising erupted, lasting for several days as people resisted police brutality and demanded their right to exist. There is debate over Sylvia's exact role that night. Some accounts claim she threw the first bottle at the police, while others suggest she arrived later. However, what is undeniable is that she was part of the fight, and that Stonewall shaped the rest of her life. She saw the uprising as a call to action and dedicated herself to ensuring that trans people and queer people of color were not left behind in the movement that followed. Following the Stonewall uprising, Sylvia Rivera and her close friend, the legendary trans activist Marsha P. co-founded S.T.A.R, Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, in 1970. S.T.A.R was groundbreaking. It was one of the first organizations dedicated to providing shelter and support for homeless trans youth, a population that was often overlooked even within the LGBTQ+ community. Sylvia and Marsha knew firsthand how difficult it was for trans people to survive in a society that rejected them. Many were forced into sex work, unable to find traditional employment due to discrimination. Housing was scarce, and police brutality was rampant. S.T.A.R provided not just a home but a sense of belonging. They established S.T.A.R House, a communal living space where young trans people could live free from harassment. Sylvia and Marsha funded it however they could, often using money earned from sex work to pay rent and buy food. Their work was radical, built on the idea that trans people had to take care of each other because no one else would. Despite its importance, S.T.A.R struggled financially and was eventually forced to shut down. But the foundation Sylvia and Marsha laid would inspire countless future activists to continue the fight for trans housing and resources. While Sylvia was one of the most vocal activists in the post-Stonewall gay rights movement, she quickly realized that not everyone was fighting for the same cause. In the early 1970s, as mainstream gay organizations sought political legitimacy, they began distancing themselves from trans people, drag queens, sex workers, and homeless youth. Those they deemed too radical or controversial. Sylvia was outraged. She had risked everything for the movement, only to see trans people pushed aside in favor of a more respectable image of gay rights. In 1973, this tension exploded at the Christopher Street Liberation Day rally, an early form of pride. Sylvia was blocked from speaking but stormed the stage anyway, grabbing the microphone and delivering one of the most raw, emotional speeches in LGBTQ+ history. "You all tell me. Go and hide your tail between your legs. I will not put up with this shh. I have been beaten. I have had my nose broken. I have been thrown in jail. I have lost my job. I have lost my apartment for gay liberation. And you all treat me this way. What the F's wrong with you all? Think about that." Her words were met with boos from the crowd, a devastating betrayal from the community she had fought so hard for. After this, Sylvia withdrew from activism for years, feeling abandoned and disillusioned. For years, Sylvia struggled with addiction and homelessness. But by the 1990s, as the trans rights movement gained momentum again, she returned to activism with renewed energy. She became a vocal advocate for trans inclusion in the larger LGBTQ+ movement, reminding people of the sacrifices trans women had made. In 2001, she co-founded the Sylvia Rivera Law Project, SRLP, an organization that provides legal aid and advocacy for trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming people, especially those facing poverty and incarceration. Until her death in 2002, Sylvia remained a fierce fighter for justice. She never stopped pushing for trans rights, proving that activism is a lifelong commitment. Sylvia Rivera's impact on LGBTQ+ history is undeniable. She fought for the most marginalized, even when it meant facing rejection from her own community. Her legacy is one of resistance, love, and unwavering dedication to justice. Her contributions are now widely recognized, with her name etched in history. The Sylvia Rivera Law Project continues her work, ensuring trans people have access to legal protection and resources. In 2015, a monument honoring Sylvia and Marsha P. Johnson was announced in New York, a long-overdue tribute to their contributions. Sylvia once said, "I don't believe in putting out a movement that's going to do nothing but benefit white middle-class men. I believe in fighting for those who have been pushed to the floor." And she did just that, until her very last breath. Sylvia Rivera was a revolutionary, a warrior, a mother to the forgotten, and a voice that refused to be silenced. Her story is a reminder that true activism means fighting for those at the margins, even when it's unpopular. Today, as trans rights continue to be under attack, Sylvia's legacy is more important than ever. She fought for us. Now it's our turn to keep fighting for her vision. I am your host, Lilith, and this is Queer Story. I'ma do what I want, when I want, how I want. I'm right as a villain.